Write your stuff on.
February.
Okay. Everybody's got stuff to write on? All right. Okay, you ready?
It's going.
All right, today we're going to do a couple things here. I'm going to go over some basic economics. Y'all going to be taking economics, but I'm going to give you four main things of economics that kind of explains it all for you. All right. First one is scarcity. Taught economics for 10 years at Western Wyoming College. And people have a lot of fear of it, but you know what? I love it. It just explains why people do things with limited resources. Okay, scarcity. Two things we're basically always short of.
Oil.
No. Two things that pretty much everybody's always short of.
Money, time, and money.
Money and, somebody said it, time. Okay, now. Those are very limited resources. Can you buy time?
No. Yes, you
Yes,
Wait.
you can. How many of y'all use a Microsoft product? Who's the guru for Microsoft?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. No, Steve Jobs is dead. He was Apple. Okay. Bill Gates. Do you think he makes every Microsoft application that goes out?
No.
What does he do? He hires
People.
people to do it. So in a sense, you can kind of buy a little bit of time, but you can only get so much. Money. Can you get more money?
Sure.
Sure. By international terrorism, bank robbery, things you generally don't want to do, but also you have options of finding something that somebody wants and getting them to pay for it from you. Okay? So time and money are scarce. Now, because things are scarce, we have to make a choice. Okay? Now, would some of y'all say that time is pretty scarce for you? That you wish you had a little bit more time at times?
Yes.
How many of y'all are here in this room right now by choice? Raise your hand. The rest of you are chained to those chairs and were brought in by armed guards. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You were?
My mom.
You're just scared of your mom, right? She didn't drag you in here and bring you into this classroom, did
She
you?
would.
She would. So you're scared of your mom, but you didn't do that, did you?
If I
You
wanted
decided to choose to be here because you didn't want to suffer the consequences, right? Would you agree? I can tell you, my 3-year-old granddaughter, if she doesn't want to do something, there is no way I can make her do something she does not want to do. And she's all of 28 pounds and about yay high. But if that kid decides she doesn't want to do it, there's no way I'm going to make her do it. All right? And the same thing with y'all. But y'all chose to be here. Some of it because of consequences. But the other reason is that you realize that there might be some benefit to this. Right? None of y'all aspire to be what? A waitress or a cook at Waffle House, do you? Is that what you do for the rest of your life? Make $7.25 an hour? Work the midnight to 6 a.m. shift? No. Y'all want to be able to provide something for yourself down the line. So you're investing your time now, begrudgingly, but you're doing it in order to get an education. Right? This is yes? This is no.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. All right. So choice. We have to make choices. Where do we spend our money? Where do we spend our time? They're limited resources. Okay? I know some people, when their apartment gets dirty, they just go rent a new apartment and pay the fee for it. They kind of choose where they're going to spend their money. Okay, now, the other thing that happens, because we have an economy that's growing and we have so many more people, we have specialization. Okay? People specialize in different things. If I had to tell my great-grandmother what my daughter does for a living, she would have no clue what that was. Okay, specialization. So we specialize in smaller and smaller things. I had a friend of mine when I was in college, worked for one of the auto manufacturers, and his job was just to push the horn button to see if the horn worked. And he says, after about 380,000 times, he couldn't tell the horn worked or not. He just kept pushing the button, and moving on. But how did people take care of themselves a couple hundred years ago? They all lived where?
On a farm.
On a farm. And so they were able to pretty much provide for all their needs that they wanted. Now, some things they couldn't get, like shoes or saddles, get their horseshoes taken care of, so you had blacksmiths. So you had some specialty people there that did that, and they would trade generally barter things for what they needed. But how do we, since we specialize so much and we can't meet our own needs, where do we go to get the stuff that we need?
To other companies.
That's fine, but what do we call that place? The big overall name for it?
Market.
Marketplace. Good. So we exchange, and all exchange takes place in the marketplace. Okay? So we do that, and we use what to
Money.
exchange things? Money. So I want some, I had to buy a dozen eggs yesterday, so I went to Kroger, picked it up. They gave me a dozen eggs, and I gave them $1.83 for it. Okay? So exchange takes place in the marketplace. The marketplace has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Huge changes. What's the newest thing coming up?
Amazon.
Well, not just
E-commerce.
Amazon, but the whole concept of
E-commerce.
e-commerce. Being able to buy things. How many people bought something online in the last 30 days?
All the money.
Okay, how many of y'all bought something last Christmas online? You know, what's interesting is about a year ago, 2 years ago, I'd maybe get one hand out of all my classes. And the amount of money that's being spent on e-commerce these days is just phenomenal. Who is the world's largest e-commerce provider right now?
Amazon.
It's not Amazon.
Yeah.
It begins with an A.
AM.
No. AMT.
Apple.
Never heard it? I guarantee you're going to hear it in a few days, a few weeks. Alibaba.
Oh.
Alibaba is the Amazon on steroids. For what country?
China.
China. What's the world's largest English-speaking country right now?
USA.
Nope.
Probably.
China. More people speak English in China than the United States. Okay. India has more honor students than the United States has students. Okay. All right, Alibaba from China. Let's talk about China for just a second, kind of get a little off here. China has, what, 4.5 times the population the United States does. In land area, what is the difference between China and the U.S. in land area? Which one's bigger?
China. No, we're bigger.
Which one's bigger?
We're bigger.
China? How much bigger is China than the United States?
We're bigger.
5 times? Okay.
No.
U.S. and China are within 2% of land area. They're the same size. No difference in size between China and the United States. They have 4.5 times as many people. Alibaba happens to be the Amazon of China. And I can tell you Amazon's well aware of them. But they outpace, Alibaba's trying to do an IPO now, initial public offering. Not quite sure whether they do $600, $500, $400 million in sales. Still considerably more than what Amazon does. And Amazon's growing. When I talked to my daughter, she's worked for Amazon the last couple of years. About a year ago, I said, what do you know about Alibaba? She says, Dad, never heard of it. And then a week later, she says, Dad, it's all over Amazon right now. We're starting to find out at our levels that this is a happening company there in China. All right, so back here. So marketplace is changing drastically because of e-commerce. And people are shopping 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't need to have a brick and mortar place. In fact, I'm going to show you a video here later on Best Buy. And Best Buy is now known as Amazon's showroom. People go to Best Buy, they look at the stuff, and then they go buy it on Amazon. And Amazon's trying to, or Best Buy's trying to get that taken care of. All right, so scarcity, choice, specialization, and exchange. These are the 4 basic hallmarks of economics. And pretty much everything is going to be able to come from that. It just explains things. Money and time are always scarce. We have to make a choice of where we're going to spend it. We're specializing in smaller and smaller bits in order to make the economy more productive. Productivity has gone up tremendously. And then we exchange it in the marketplace. All right, so any questions on that part? Clear as mud? Understand? All right, so make sure you guys are writing these things down, right? Notes help.
Wait, so was that?
Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is legal platforms of business. Okay, we're going to jump over to something totally different. Legal platforms. How are businesses set up? There are 4 basic legal platforms. What are the legal platforms for business? What are some of the ways businesses are set up?
Sole proprietor.
Okay, sole proprietorship.
Corporation. LLC.
Okay, corporation.
LLC.
Partnership. And the newest one is LLC. Okay, sole proprietor. Basically on this one you do nothing. You just go out and do business. Put money in your checking account, you tell the IRS, I made this much money, and the IRS says, okay, that's how much you have to pay in taxes. And you go from there. It's just very simple. In fact, the majority of businesses are set up as sole proprietors. Next one is a partnership. You know, a couple folks get together and do this. Also, it's easier to get capital because you've got two people now trying to borrow money or put money into it. And if you've got a business like a restaurant that's operating 16 hours a day, you got some folks that can help out with that. So, partnership. Corporations. Corporations basically started in England. During the Industrial Revolution, you had people that were, started to do commerce and trade. Globalization 2.0 dealt with what? Expanding globally.
Corporation.
Not corporations. Companies expanding globally. And the primary technology used was what?
Steam.
Ships. Ships. I'm sorry, no. Steam, you're right. Steam. Ships was from Globalization 1.0, when countries expanded. So they're using steam power now to be able to go out and be able to trade around the world. But here's the problem that ended up happening. Somebody say, okay, I'm going to send this whole boatload of stuff to, say, China. And the boat gets caught and sinks, or it's raided by pirates and taken over. So people that this guy bought the stuff from come say, hey, we want our money. And he says, I can't pay. Ship sank. Oh no. So what do they do to the guy?
Kill him.
No, they wouldn't kill him. You kill him, you're not going to get your money back. What do they do with him? The ship sunk. How can they sell ships? Yeah, sure, buy the ship. It's at the bottom of the ocean.
They made them pay.
Nope.
They like take.
No, they throw him in prison.
Oh. Jail.
Yes, debtor's prison. Throw him in prison.
How do they get their money if he's in prison?
Ah, good question. In fact, the prisons then didn't feed people. Who would have to feed the prisoners?
The bird. The birds?
The birds? No.
The government.
No. Government's running prisons. They weren't. If no one fed them, they died.
Oh, so they just died.
Some
They
did.
still don't get their money, so.
So he's still dead.
So who fed the prisoners?
No one.
No one.
Okay, guys, if y'all went to jail, do you think your family would take care of you?
Oh.
No.
So the families,
Sent the money.
families basically would feed the prisoners, and
That's nice.
families and friends would figure out a way to generate some money to be able to pay off their debts to get the debtor out of prison. So do you think this stifled businesses willing to take risks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. They wouldn't want to go to prison. So basically England set up a thing called, in a sense, a corporation. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this corporation up. And a corporation, in the eyes of a law, is a legal person. And this is a person that can buy things, incur debt, hire people, sell things. So a corporation is a legal person. So what ended up happening is that ship sunk, the corporation was responsible for the debt. And so when they put the corporation in jail, basically all you do is you take a piece of paper, put it in jail. Doesn't help, but people knew what the risk was. So the corporation was a legal entity on that. So that allowed businesses now to be able to go out there and compete. And with the corporation, your liability was limited to the amount of money that you invested in the business. So here we have liability. Okay, so with corporation, it's limited liability. Limited only to the amount of money that you invest in the business. Let's go back to sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, this guy started an elevator company. He was kind of out in the far suburbs and had a nice little business, and all of a sudden, the town moved out toward him. So now he's got a great business. And so he's hiring people, he's got vans, he's really doing a good job, really going up in the world. It's an elevator company, really going up in the world. Oh, come on, guys. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, so it's really moving up in the world, bringing in more income. His wife says, sweetheart, would you hire my ex-brother-in-law? Oh, no, dear, I don't want to. He's a drunk. Yeah, he's a drunk, but he's also a really good mechanic. And the guy was. So wife talks the husband into hiring the ex-brother-in-law that's a drunk. Guy works out well for a while. A couple months later, though, it's a Friday, and the ex-brother-in-law is going to these different jobs. Elevators are going up, he's going up. Elevator comes down, he doesn't come down, he's still kind of way up here. As they're leaving for the end of the day, drives through a red light, kills a mother and a daughter. So obviously, the company gets sued. So the owner of the company gets sued because it's his van. He hired the brother-in-law. He knew he was a drunk. He didn't have policies in place to protect that. He was a sole proprietor. And so his liability is unlimited. So his insurance company, there was a claim against him for $2 million. The insurance company pays $1 million of it off. So he owes how much money now? $1 million. So he had to sell his house, his car, close his bank accounts out, and sell his wife, his kids, and that was it. So he lost everything. So the problem is with sole proprietorship, you have unlimited liability. Unlimited liability. All right? Let's talk about partnerships for a second here. These two girls back here, see how good friends they are? All the time, just always chatting and talking. They're great friends. They decide to start this business up. They've got it all together. They're going to start this business up. And so one in the back there, she has a hot boyfriend. Okay. One in front here, her boyfriend breaks up with her, but she really likes her hot boyfriend. So she takes the company credit card and her boyfriend, and they go to Rio for Carnival. Now, is she liable for those debts? Yes. So is she liable for those debts?
Yes.
Yes, because they're partners. They have unlimited liability. So while she's enjoying herself down in Rio, and actually she's the one who set the credit card up, the other girl can't cancel it, so she's got all this debt coming in. Not only is her boyfriend gone, her partner's gone, they're racking up money, she's responsible for it, she's in the States, they're going after her for it. So again, same thing with partnerships, unlimited liability. Okay? Now there's a subset of partnerships called a limited partnership. In a limited partnership, you can have all but one partner that has limited liability. Again, limited only to the amount of money they invest in the business. But one partner has to have unlimited liability for that. Now, people kind of like that concept of a limited partnership. So the great state of, where did I move here from? Anybody remember? Okay, Wyoming. Wyoming came up with something called an LLC, a limited liability company, which in a sense is nothing but a limited partnership where everybody has a limited liability, limited only to the amount of money they invest in that. Okay. Now, corporation. What are the owners of the corporation called? Don't tell me CEO. What are the owners of the corporation called? So I said it. Stockholders or shareholders. You own shares in a corporation or stock in a corporation. What are LLC owners called? They're called members. Okay. So stockholders, members. So, again, sole proprietorship, partnerships, unlimited liability, these things, the quick word for it is stupid. Okay? No sense doing that. Corporation, LLC, quick word for it, smart. My daughter, when she wanted to set up her hair salon, says, Dad, I'm just going to set up as a sole proprietorship. And I says, honey, what happens if somebody sues you? Well, Dad, there's nothing somebody's going to sue me about. I says, okay, you're going to get this one client whose hair fell out the day after you did it because of somebody else's work that they did. They're going to sue you. Well, I can prove that it wasn't mine. So then how many thousands of dollars is that going to cost you? Problem is you want to be able to prevent that. So you're set up as an LLC or a corporation, people are going to look at it and see the corporation has no assets. The LLC has no assets. So, why sue them? Because an attorney is more than happy to sue somebody only if they realize they can get some money out of it, right? And that's why you see all these big corporations and everything else being sued. Right? So again, it's just protection. So these are your legal platforms for why businesses are set up. One of the things that you're going to have to do this semester is you have to do 2 interviews of business owners. In Gwinnett County, there are 20,000 licensed businesses. 10,000 of them operate from home. You cannot do those 10,000. Other 10,000 operate from brick and mortar establishments, offices. Those are the 10,000 that you can visit. There's 10,000 businesses you can go see. You have to take a picture of you with the manager. You have to take a picture of the outside of the establishment with their sign on it. So you actually have to go to that place. Now you cannot do it for somebody that's in Alaska. Well, can I do it by phone? No. So all your instructions are written on your rubrics there. So take a look at the 2 interviews that you have to do this semester. You have to do pictures with it. You have to write a report. One of the questions is, what is the legal platform? Okay. People say the legal platform is a franchise. No, it's not. It's not a legal platform. It's a way of doing business. You know, the legal platform is Mall of Georgia. No, that's not a legal platform. That's a place to spend all your money and all your parents' money. Okay? All right, so these are your legal platforms. Sole proprietorship, this accounts for the most number of businesses, and the reason is because it's so easy, you do nothing. Partnerships, corporations, these are the big ones. People generally will incorporate and that's where the big businesses are, and LLCs, limited liability companies. Interesting enough is that all new job creation is pretty much with businesses that have less than 8 employees. So you're starting to see small business really get up there. And so if you're going to go work for a small business, find out how they're set up. You know, because that can have some impact on you. Okay. So any questions on these? This gives us our legal platforms, and we went over our basic economics. All right.